You know, the writers of this movie seem to think that I needed another reason to never go to Florida. What's up, internet? Welcome to Weirdo Reviews. I'm Jonathan Sim, your favorite movie weirdo, and it is time for a review.
Come on, you son of a bitch!
Crawl is a horror thriller written by Michael and Sean Rasmussen and directed by Alexandra Aja. The movie stars Kaya Scodelario as this girl who's trapped with her father in the basement of her house while there's a gigantic hurricane, Category 5 hurricane going on, and there are also alligators crawling around everywhere, and they need to avoid getting eaten by the alligators, and they also need to avoid dying in their basement. So what did I think of Crawl? Well, I mean, there were no press screenings for this movie. Like, this was not screened for most critics, so I watched this movie, and I loved it. I really loved this movie. I think this was a really well-paced, suspenseful movie, and I had a lot of fun watching this movie. This movie's directed very well. Like, a lot of the scenes in this movie have a lot of tension and suspense in them that just keeps it interesting, consistently interesting, for a good amount of time. And something I loved was that, like, it wasn't just one obstacle that the main characters were facing. It was two obstacles. Like, you know, they had to, you know, avoid getting eaten by the alligators, and there was also, you know, the fact that they were trapped in their basement while the water in there was just steadily rising. And, like, that kind of created, like, a race against the clock suspense and tension that wouldn't have been there if it had just been, you know, oh my god, we're in here and there are alligators there. Holy shit, what do we do? So yeah, I like that. I liked how there were just two main obstacles for the characters to go through, and I think that they did take advantage, full advantage of what they had to work with. I also liked how, you know, this movie didn't have, you know, a lot of kills. Like, you know, every time an alligator kills a person in this movie, it does come back into play later in the story. So, like, I liked that. I liked how, you know, it wasn't just a bunch of pointless scenes put in so that the alligators could start killing people. You know, there was a point to having these characters die, and it was so that, like, you know, later it could be used to help out the main characters. Also, before this, I watched Spider-Man Far From Home, which had Tom Holland, a British person, playing an American Peter Parker. Then after that, I watched Midsummer, which had Florence Pugh, a British person, playing an American named Danny. Today, I'm reviewing Crawl, a movie with a British Kaya Scodelario playing an American character. And, like, I'm like, is it that easy for British people to just slip on an American accent whenever they want to? Because if I went the rest of the video just speaking in a British accent, I feel like a lot of the people in Britain are actually listening to this and thinking, oh my god, this is the worst bloody accent that I have ever heard. You know what, I'm gonna stop humiliating myself, just Kaya Scodelario, her accent was amazing, it was spot on, and her performance was great as well. Like, everyone in this movie, like, mainly it's our two leads, you know, the daughter and the father, they are both really good in this movie, and they give very authentic, natural performances as their characters. They're believably scared throughout the entire movie, and I think their performances really sold the idea that they were in this situation. Not even sure why I watched this movie either. I mean, like, I actually have a big fear of reptiles and, you know, alligators. I really fucking hate alligators, so I don't know why I decided to watch this movie, but, you know, it did scare me. It did. Like, it didn't, like, you know, fuck me up after. I wasn't, like, you know, just scarred for life after this movie, but I was pretty scared, okay? Because I don't like alligators. They're assholes. They are some fucking assholes, and I fucking hate alligators. So because of that, like, you know, the jump scares did work. So, like, there are a couple jump scares in this movie. Now, I don't love jump scares, but I think this movie did a good job of not having too many false scares. Like, a lot of the scares are just genuinely frightening moments with a jump scare just being used to enhance the scare. Now, in terms of problems with this movie, I feel like a big problem with this movie might be just the fact that these characters get injured over and over again. They lose a considerable amount of blood throughout this whole movie, and they don't seem to be that hurt by it afterwards. Like, they don't seem like, you know, they're in too much pain after they face these injuries. And like they never even die of blood loss or anything. Like they don't die because of blood loss. So yeah, that's a little problem with this movie. And you know, another problem I'd have is like, I feel like the ending could have been a little bit longer. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more added to the ending so we could see what was happening, you know, after this whole disaster. But like, you know, that's just the way I felt about the ending. Overall, this is a very good, very suspenseful horror thriller, and I think that this movie should have been marketed a lot more, but, you know, I don't know why they didn't have any screenings for this movie. This was a really good movie. It was a really great, effectively scary horror movie that was well-paced, and it had some great performances. I'm going to give Crawl an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more reviews in the future, please subscribe, and as always, stay weird.
Need to go. I'm not leaving you here.